Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Huddle Up with Howard. I'm Mike Claiborne along with Howard Richards, but we have a special guest today. Howard, I watched this guy when he was at Alabama, and he played on one of the best teams Alabama's ever put on the field that nobody talks about. I remember that interception in the championship game where he was high stepping down sidelines, kind of showing up Lamar Williams. I had a great career in the NFL. And now he's gone from coaching to being an athletic director. And it's a pleasure to have George Teague with us this afternoon.
Yes, I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you guys for coming, allowing me to come on and chat with you guys for a little bit. Look forward to, talking football. I ain't coaching it right now, but I love talking about it. That's for sure.
Hey, George, appreciate you joining us. So you spent, 9 years in the league? Is that right by my count?
You are right. I did 3 years with the Green Bay Packers, 1 year with the Dolphins, and 5 years with the Cowboys. Retired as a Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah, drafted originally in the first round. I think it was the 29th pick. That sound right? From your recollection, I think that's what mine was.
Yeah. You got it. I can remember that day. I can remember that. And I remember the pick number because it was a total surprise to me. Wasn't really expecting to go in the first round, so it was kind of, cool. It was a big blessing for me and my family to get that phone. My bag phone rang. Yeah, I remember bag phones, right? My bag phone. So that was pretty cool to have that day happen.
Hey, George, for you, you play for some you play with good players. You play for some really good coaches. Who had the most impact on your playing career?
You know what? I'm going to answer this in multiple ways because there's some really good coaches who helped me a lot in different levels, right? So in high school, the person that actually gave me the aspirations to really say, hey, you probably can play in college at a high level. His name was Bubba Lewis, Montgomery, Alabama, Jeff Davis High School. Just a good old brother. And he kind of got me on the recruiting trail and just said, hey, where do you want to go? I'll call him, that kind of thing. So it was kind of cool to have that happen. But once I got to University of Alabama, the guy who impacted me the most is definitely Coach Stallings. I did go in under Bill Curry. Very happy that he recruited me, offered me the scholarship there. But what Bill Curry brought to the table, he started giving me the mindset of, hey, if you want to get to the pros, you better play like this, and you better do like this, and you better study film. And so he really gave me the extra tools to be ready for that. And then once I got to the league, when it started with playing days, just playing, my best playing days, I feel like came with Mike Zimmer while I was here with the Dallas Cowboys. He was just a good man. He shot me straight. He ain't sugarcoat anything. When I was messing up, he said, if you want to make this team, you better run faster on that doggone kickoff team. Or you ain't going to make it. Yeah, and so, but he gave me a lot of tools, just tweaking the way that I would plant and break, what my hips were doing, and really technical. And I really loved that about him.
Mike Zimmer, you and I have a few things in common. So starting with Mike Zimmer was a grad assistant at Mizzou my sophomore year. He came in when Warren Powers got the job as head coach. Oh, wow. And Zim, how kind of a high-pitched voice and can be a little boisterous at times. He barely said a word during that year as a grad assistant. And so when I first heard that he had become an assistant coach in the NFL, I'm like, this can't be the same Mike Zimmer. but sure enough, it was. In fact, a couple of years after he got to Dallas, I went out to Thousand Oaks out at Cal Lutheran and visited training camp one year. And sure enough, he was there. And it was great to see him because he had evolved as an assistant coach and certainly as a defensive coordinator. But, always had a good mind, just very much on the quiet side. And then, of course, Gene Stallings was an assistant with the Cowboys under Tom Landry, who was my coach at Dallas. And so I know you got some great experiences with him. Did he ever tell you, you ever hear the story about the Whisper Jets?
The Whisper Jets?
The Whisper Jets.
I didn't get that one.
So the Whisper Jet, this is how he used to talk to the rookies. essentially, if they're screwing up, Delta Airlines had I think it was an L-1011, a Lockheed L-1011. That was their big wide body, but it was nicknamed the Whisper Jets. And if the rookies didn't perform up to snuff, he'd be like, "Boy, you gonna be on that Whisper Jet in the morning if you don't get it right."
No, I'm glad I didn't have that conversation.
Hey, it's funny you talk about that conversation. When did you know your career was over as far as the pros are concerned? Did somebody have to tell you, or did you figure it out and just say, you know what, I'm probably not going to do this anymore?
Yeah, I can say I had the opportunity probably to play another year or two if I had to guess on it. But what I try to tell people all the time is because they see guys like the Emmets, the Michael Irvins, the Brady's, all the people that have been on one team the whole career, been glamorous. My career wasn't like that, and so I learned a lot about the business side pretty early when I first got traded from Green Bay, not knowing I was getting traded. That was after my third year. So the part I didn't say is that I actually got traded to Atlanta, right? But 3 weeks later, Atlanta released me. That's how I ended up with the Dallas Cowboys. That was a 1-year deal. Then I went to the Dolphins. Then I came back to the Cowboys. So there was a stretch of time right there where it was strictly business for me, right? And so my eyes kind of open up to the world of what this really is and how I need to fight to be on a team. So to be able to get to 9 years, it worked, but it took a lot of work. And so once I get down to the after that 9th year, my contract was up with the Cowboys and started negotiating. It wasn't really trying to give me the money that I thought I had, and other people would, offer deals or come to training camp, and you understand what that is on when you start getting older and they want the veteran to come in to be the camp body and maybe cut you and all that. And I was like, that's not a big enough commitment for me to say that I'm going to come to camp because I don't want to be out of there pretty soon. So to answer your question, I knew that at that time it was time for me to hang those cleats up and go, do something else. That's when I started looking at, did I want to coach? Did I want to be a broadcasting? What I want to do? And took a year off and ended up going into high school coaching.
How's that experience been for you? Because, we all came up in different eras with regard to high school coaches and the impact that they have on us. I don't think you can talk to kids today like they used to talk to us.
No, you can't. And as I was sitting in my office today, they have this thing called the WGBT. People don't even know what that is, but that's that wet globe ball something. But basically told our team, hey, you can't go outside and practice because this thing has this certain number on there. We were never, ever told that we couldn't go out there and practice, just get more water or do something else. Now we got all these measures to say, you can only be out there for an hour and you got to take water breaks every 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. So it's very different. The experience was great as far as building, scheming, playing, trying to pour into these kids' lives. That was the most important piece for me. It has always been that way. But it's starting to change a little bit now, just transfer portal sneaking down into high school.
Really?
Money, it ain't like a official website you can go to, but it's happening. You see guys going to 3 or 4 different high schools. States opening up NILs for high schools. It's going to come to Texas pretty soon. We're already looking at trying to figure out how's that going to work. And it's a different world. And old school guys like me, I don't know, I'm still believe you're supposed to go to Alabama because you wanted to play at Alabama growing up and not because you got the best collective deal or something of that nature, and then go take another collective deal at another school the next year. That just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Well, you mentioned something interesting about NIL, and state of Missouri just passed an aggressive law that enables high school kids that have verbally committed to an institution to start getting paid even before they set foot on a college campus.
Wow.
So it is, and I see this as something that is going to evolve and grow state by state, because I know that the state legislator that helped get this law passed has been receiving calls from a number of different institutions and coaches about how he was able to get it done. So depending on how progressive the various state legislatures are across the country, you may see this become a trend very quickly. Because let's just face it, if a high school student that certainly is in need knows that he can get paid simply by making an agreement with that school, whether he goes there or not, you hope he does. This could be something that I think is unprecedented, and but I see it becoming a big problem, because one guy may commit and start getting paid, and then all of a sudden he commits to another school. Then what happens to that money or wherever those goods or services that he received? Does he have to give it back? To me, I like the fact that these young kids can get paid, but I see a lot of problems down the road if there is not some sort of legislation that sort of controls it all and manages it in the best interests of both the institutions and the student athletes.
Why couldn't we just allow it to happen organically? Meaning, is name, image, and likeness, right? So I understand the world of social media and all that, but why couldn't it just be like everyone else? Before we couldn't work, right? So we couldn't go get a job. We couldn't do this other stuff. So now why not let them work? I know it's still, but why now does the university have to get involved with? If you can find a way to get 100,000, 1 million followers on your TikTok or whatever, let them out of money.
Yeah.
I get it. Or honestly, what I've always thought, and you brought up somehow that I don't know if you saw what just happened with the guy from Florida that got the lawsuit out against someone, not reading the fine print, you got to pay the money back because he left, all these things you're saying, or didn't go or whatever. Now, is almost a $500,000 deal, and he's got to pay all that back plus more. I thought we should have just went the route like what they do in NFL. Have a pool of money for everybody's name, image, and likeness, and cut everybody a check at the end of the year, however much money that is. I remember getting those NFL checks, those bonus checks, and I know Brett Favre and them guys sold a whole lot more jerseys than I did or that my name was on, but I still got that $14,000, $15,000 check in February or whatever it was, and I was very happy to receive it just because it was there. And if no one bought my jersey or my card, so what? It should have been the same thing with football. There's a lot of guys, that are going to make a lot of money, but it could have been done a little different.
I'll tell you the other thing that we haven't seen yet, but it's coming. Who's helping these kids with their taxes? I mean, we're talking about kids that are going to have 6 and in some cases 7-figure money coming in. And I haven't heard any of these kids talk about who's setting up their financial planning, who's helping them with their taxes. Because, some people are like, well, why should I pay taxes? They won't catch up to me. And guy walking to the NFL that's already going to have the IRS in his pocket before he signs another check. They're going to make him turn that signing bonus money over to them because of the fact he didn't pay taxes on what he got when he was in college.
And it's going to get complicated because it runs into when did you actually make the money? Meaning, what state were you in? Because I read in the league and things I didn't know. And they're like, oh, you owe Illinois something. What? I don't owe Illinois anything. Well, yeah, you came here and worked here.
Yeah.
So you owe us some taxes. Oh, good Lord. And so, yeah, that it is very scary. I think it's too much pressure on a young kid and their family if they don't have the history or the family upcoming to understand that type of money that fast. There's some vultures out there, and they'll get them. That's for sure.
We're visiting with George Teague, former NFL player, also a great player at the University of Alabama, now in the administration side of high school. What's that been like for you, being on the other side of the coin, where you're not calling plays, but you're calling coaches?
Man, I absolutely love it. I think anytime you can build something and just try to empower people, impact them, and help them become better leaders, I enjoy that. Sure, there are a lot of conversations I have with parents who don't like our coaches or whatever. You have to deal with that part. But just even today, sitting working on a nutrition plan, trying to mimic what they do in college, and how do we make our high school different, with the nutrition center and having, all the things they need to get ready for college outside of academics is cool to me, and I love it. And I love building with coaches like that. So I'm very fortunate with the staff that we have. A lot of pros across the board who are decided to come work with me and help me build this program. So I had my biggest pleasure. I can say this 2 years ago. It's what they call in college, like the Athletic Directors Award. We have what's called a Henderson Cup Award, which means you have the best overall extracurricular activities of all your teams, because you get points on how far you go in the playoffs. And we were actually able to win that the first time.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And so that was like my moment as an AD to say, okay, everybody's not winning championships, but we're good. When people think about John Paul II High School that I'm at, they go, oh yeah, that athletic program is, they're competing. So I love it, brother. I wouldn't trade it.
Do you see your foundation at John Paul, as a springboard to a possible career at the collegiate level or in the NFL as an administrator?
Yes, I think over the 20 years that I've been doing it, I've progressed up each level. Started at a 3A school to a 4A to a 5A, now 6A private school. And so I think all the experiences I have could give me an opportunity to maybe go up, if it was the right thing and the right fit. And if I can convince my wife that we need to get out of Texas for a minute.
Good luck on that.
We've already been talking about Missouri and stuff, because I heard y'all got different seasons. It's not burning up like it is right here. Our grass is brown to the fullest.
But you should know this. You're born in Kansas, right?
Well, I was actually born.
They didn't have grass in Kansas.
No, I was actually born in Michigan.
Michigan, okay.
And I think that's why I lived in Kansas on the Air Force Base. Man, so with your background, I have to tell you this. I'm sorry, but that was the first time, even living on the base all my life, that was the first time I actually got to see a B-2 bomber. That's when they first came out.
Yeah,
I had no idea what I was looking at. I thought some aliens were coming through. I didn't know what was happening. You couldn't hear it. All I just kind of saw this thing just kind of floating. I'm like, oh my God, what is that?
And you think about when you see one up close, you ask yourself the question, why would a country mess with a country who's got a whole garage full of them? It don't make any sense, man. Wait, we don't have one of those, so why are we messing with them? Why are we poking the bear?
That's right. That's right.
Hey, George, before we get out of here, I know you still follow Alabama. That's an interesting dynamic they have there. They're gonna have their hands full this weekend against Texas. Where do you see college football going? We talk about the portal and the transfer portal and the NIL, but on the field, where do you think the game is going? Because there's a whole lot of new rules, as you mentioned, some safety precautions. The game is taught differently. But where do you see it headed?
I think, well, in the grand scheme of things, I think college football, particularly the power conferences, are just going to be NFL recruiting grounds. I think there's going to be down to 3 conferences. You can see Pac-12 already down to 1 or whatever it is now. They're going to be a group of 5, and I think that's going to continue to happen, even with another conference where there's probably going to be the big 3. That's what I think. But as far as the style of play and the way it goes, you can kind of see a little bit of a shift heading back towards a little bit more run. It's been very pass-centric, RPOs, spread everybody out, this kind of thing. I think it's starting to shift ever so slightly. So when you brought up Alabama, and we talked about this on the show with Howard a little bit last night, is that Alabama's even gone to 12 personnel and played in the first half. They almost 40% of the snaps were out of 12 personnel. That's a little different, I think, than what we would have seen. I know Alabama likes to run the ball, but we've typically been 11 or 10 pretty much. And so to see them do this, and it's the involvement of the quarterbacks running the ball. I mean, everybody, and you got someone like Jalen Milroe who can do both and is really good at his legs. And so when you start to look at people like the Josh Allens, the Hurts, the Justin Herberts, a lot of those guys still can run the ball. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is running the ball all over the place. They're not your traditional Danny Dimes, these guys. Yeah. So I think you're going to start to see more tight ends in the game and a whole lot more running.
When you talk about the quarterback, I'm enamored with the size of these quarterbacks who are as big as tight ends. And you mentioned they can run the ball, they can still throw it, but the game is just getting so much bigger at every position, but it really starts to stand out at quarterback.
Well, look at Milroe. I mean, he's built like a backer.
Yeah.
When you look at a kid's arms, and I mean, he's so well developed and strong lower body. He could probably play virtually any position outside of maybe offensive line or defensive line on the field.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's unbelievable to see these guys, and you can't. People see them from a distance, but when you go out on the sideline and you stand next to these guys, they got these passes. I'm like, oh my God, look at this dude, man. The dude is like 19 years old. What is going on? Beard bigger than all of ours combined.
Hey, do you ever put yourself in a position now? How would I tackle this guy?
Man, there would be a whole lot of business decisions that say, how this is going to work and how much of these NIL deals do I really have? Because it's crazy, as you said, how big you were talking before the show, or just the linemen, 6'7", 360, running 4.8s, 4.7s or something crazy. They're coming around and pulling on, 190-pound cornerbacks or something of that nature. So it's definitely a whole lot more physical, or just from the physics standpoint, that they're faster, bigger. That means the collisions are a little bit more.
Well, let me ask you this: they're bigger, faster, stronger, but are they tougher?
Absolutely not. No. Not at all. They will shut it down in a minute. If you touch them, I get tired of seeing the hands go up there. Like, he's touching me, he's breathing on me, or whatever it is. No, they're not tougher at all. But we don't work the same. Okay, and
That's true.
Some of that is generational, but I have been talking about. I don't know that we work the same because there's too many soft tissue issues, and that's working. The rules, they're cutting back. Hey, you can only go so many hours, and then you can't exert as much energy. They got all these little things on your heart and chest, and hey, he ran, this many miles an hour over this amount of steps. You got to rest them. Oh man, stop. Let them run.
Hey, I remember when they used to hand out salt tablets in the middle of the summer.
Oh boy.
Yeah, man. You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah, I mean they didn't keep track of that. Hey George, we could do this all day, but man, we appreciate you spending some time with us. First of all, thanks for being part of what we do. Secondly, congratulations on what you're doing today and helping develop the next generation of people. Some of them might even happen to be athletes, and that's important. And we appreciate you spending some time with us today.
I thank you guys for allowing me to come on and be a part of this. If y'all ever need me, man, just hit me up. Y'all know how to find me.
We appreciate you, sir.
Thanks, George.
He's George Teague. That's Howard Richards. I'm Mike Claiborne. This has been another edition of Huddle Up with Howard on ClaibsOnline.com.